even been blacklisted by a bunch of them. But those soft pollies, as he calls them, shouldn't rest easy just yet.
Until noon, you're listening to Neil Mitchell.
Hello, hello.
What the hell are you doing here?
What am I doing here? Well, you know when a current affair does a walk-in, mate, it's never good.
Neil Mitchell, radio titan, hanging up his mic after more than 30 years.
No mucking around, straight to the point. I am stepping down from the morning program on 3AW.
Just don't mention the R word.
Neil, I can't believe you're retiring.
I'm not. It's all, you're just setting me up. It is all nonsense. No, I'm not retiring. I'm just doing something different.
I'm well aware, but you walked straight into that.
I know I did.
Thank you, thank you. How are you feeling about it, though?
Good. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be an interesting change. I'm going to miss stepping away, obviously, but the time's right.
You've got the same level of energy that you had when you started day one on this job, I swear.
Not when I got off air, I haven't. And I'm finding it harder. I talked to the manager about it. They said, they wanted me to stay, and they said, work at 80%. I can't do it.
And I know what you mean by saying you don't want to work at 80%, because even texting you yesterday going, hey, I can't wait for this chat, and your first response is, do I need to do homework?
That's partly insecurity, of course, and that's partly the imposter syndrome, which a lot of people suffer from.
See, it's interesting listening to you say that, because what I read about you is you were earmarked for greatness as a cadet when you were working for The Age.
I always wanted to be a journalist from about age 14. Always, and here I was I couldn't believe it, and I loved it. But not for a moment did I think that I would end up doing something such as I have, editing a newspaper, doing this.
You have a reputation for being fair, decent, honest, and sometimes a bit grumpy.
I was kind of wondering where the but was. Yeah, I do get a bit grumpy at times. I'd hate to work for me. I'm grumpy with staff in particular.
Is there a favourite on-air moment?
There were dodgy speed cameras on the Western Ring Road, and we were sure they were dodgy speed cameras. And the police were telling me, no, they're fine. The government were telling me, no. The Age even read an editorial saying what an idiot I was. We proved the point. We got back $26 million for 165,000 motorists. That was a favourite moment.
How nice is it when you're right?
It doesn't happen all the time. But that was satisfying. There have been a lot of others. Little Tyler Fishlock was the little boy who was about to lose his second eye, and we got some footballers out to play kick-to-kick with him as a memory. Tyler came in to see me not long after he'd lost the eye, and he was about this big, a dynamo. That kid was inspirational.
He's had photos and he's had a kick, and it's just been wonderful. It's fantastic, Neil. I don't know how to thank you. So.
Look, that's the least we can do.
So what's so special about him?
He just cops whatever's thrown at him and keeps going. Just goes on.
Tyler Fishlock, who lost his sight to cancer with his mum, Georgette. Now all grown up and in true A Current Affair fashion, we had a bit of a surprise for Neil.
People like, oh, hang on, what's on?
They set me up again. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
G'day, mate.
Yeah.
The Count.
How are you? Yeah, not bad. How are you?
I'm great.
Hey, Georgette, can I ask, what do you think of this man?
Amazing human being. No, he's been a voice not just for our family, but for people in general that never had a voice or a chance to be heard. Because people like you, Neil. Yeah.
Well, he's been in your life since Tyler was 3, right?
Yep. I still remember that day, that radio conversation, where you said, don't, Mum, don't cry. I remember that. That's a day that, obviously it was the worst day of our life because it was the last day we knew he had vision. And thanks to Neil, it gave him memories to go into theatre with. But that's one conversation I will never, ever forget.
Neither will I.
Why is he so special, Tyler?
No, well, I suppose he's special because he's the kind of person that this world needs more of.
If I look at people that I wish I could have interviewed over the years, I think Nelson Mandela would have been top of that list. You actually got to interview him.
Yeah, it was special. Are these young people, is that your inspiration now?
Well, every human being, young or old, is an inspiration.
I was terrified. It was in front of a live audience, it was televised live. He was so professional, so kind, so generous, and that aura is true about Nelson Mandela. It was magnificent.
You have, over the years, covered some of those big events. In your very early days, 1987, you just started your radio career, the Queen Street Massacre. And to broadcast live when there were virtually no mobile phones, what was that like?
Very early on, it stressed to me the importance of radio. And it came to me, the shooter had actually killed these people and then jumped off the roof. We didn't know that. We thought he was active in the city. Mass shooting in the streets of Melbourne. And I remember talking to a couple of people who were in the building where he'd been shooting, hiding under their desks, talking to me, got the phone down there talking to me. There were a couple of incidents like that. I remember the Black Saturday fires and the people trapped in Kinglake. It was a Saturday night, we'd come on, we're on air, and we knew it was awful. And there were people screaming down the line, what do we do? Where do we go? How do we handle it? Once again, the importance of radio and the weight of that, some of those people probably didn't survive, and they were screaming down the phone at me for help, and I couldn't do anything. I tried, but what could you do?
All of the neighbours' homes have all gone.
How many houses have you lost up there, do you know?
That'd be 1, 2, 3 that I know of.
Good. Well, look after yourself.
Thanks, mate.
You, no, none of us like talking about the pandemic anymore, but you were the voice that a lot of people turned to during that time, and you just happened to be in the world's longest lockdown.
The pandemic is easily the biggest story I've ever been involved in, because news is what touches people's lives, and this touched everybody's life. It didn't matter who you were listening, what you were doing.
And when you believe in something, you commit to it. We've seen so many examples of that. The Alana and Madeline Foundation, which came off the back of the Port Arthur tragedy, to this day, still incredibly important to you.
Again, the positiveness that had come out of such horror. Very proud of Alana and Madeline.
So many people love you, but not everyone does.
No. Surprised to hear that.
What's the number one name that comes to mind?
Daniel. Couldn't you go and interview him?
The former Premier, Daniel Andrews.
For me, we have listed this.
Mr. Andrews, you're playing word games here.
I'm not playing word games at all, Neil.
I mean, why does he dislike you so much?
I criticised him a fair bit over the journey. I've picked him up on a few things he deserved picking up on. He would say I'm unfair and committed. That's what he'd say. I don't believe so. I got on with him well when he was in opposition. That disappeared a while after he pulled a couple of shonky things which I objected to.
He's not the only politician to have blacklisted you over the years, is he?
Julie Bishop, Scott Morrison, Paul Keating, Bob Hawke.
I mean, you've outlasted 10 Prime Ministers, if you include Kevin Rudd twice.
Kevin Rudd. There's some horrible memories there.
Why do you think they refuse to be interviewed by you? Is it your strength or their weakness?
I think if you are Prime Minister or attempting to become Prime Minister, or if you're Premier or attempting to become Premier, if you're going to be intimidated by some idiot radio bloke, you're not up to the job. Frankly, you should be able to handle it, you should be able to cope with it. Yeah, I'm unpredictable, I can be difficult, and I'm not going to be in anybody's pocket, but they knew that, and that used not to be unusual.
Are our politicians soft?
Yep, they're soft, but they've established a system where they don't have to be accountable. And if anybody attempts to make them accountable, they resent it and they resist it and they reject it. And accountability's disappearing, I'm afraid. Daniel Andrews had a press conference every day for a year or whatever and didn't actually tell anybody anything other than the latest figures. Didn't answer a question, really.
So what do you make then of our current Prime Minister? Is he doing a good job?
Stumbling a bit. Personally, I like him. I've known him a long time. Bill Shorten banned me for a couple of years, and Elbow was the only one in the Labor Party who'd talk to me.
I'm starting to see a theme here. Maybe you're the problem, Neil.
Yeah, look, I would accept that. I would accept that. But maybe I'm the problem, but I think they need to toughen up a bit. Elbow's, he has stumbled. I think he's got a good heart. but he hasn't quite decided what he is yet.
I don't think you're allowed to leave. Just yet. Come on.
I'll still be here. I'll be doing podcasts and all sorts of
I know, but to be able to tune in and know exactly how you feel and, you know...
I'll ring every day at 8:30.
Okay. Promise? What are you looking forward to post-radio?
Not getting up at 4 a.m. That really is a big thing. That's starting to wear me down a bit after all those years. Spending time on stories and interviews that I want to spend time on.
Well, I mean, you've given so much to your audience over the past more than 3 decades. You're going to be missed.
It's just not going to be the same, Neil. It's not you.
Carly.
Oh, sorry. I'm just so emotional. Thank you for everything you've done for us, Neil. I really appreciate it.
They've given a lot to me. And again, I don't mean to sound twee, but they have given a hell of a lot of satisfaction, enjoyment to me, and trust. You know, there are people who actually trust me in the world. That's rare.
Well, you're pretty rare, Neil, so tough to imagine the mornings without you, but enjoy the sleep-ins.